Okay, I'm starting on page 21 of the Thanksgiving packet. And I want to go over the x method. So before, we only had two terms, and we were doing the formula a plus b, a minus b. Well, now we have a trinomial, three terms, 1, 2, 3. And so we're going to use a different method, an x method. Now, if you guys learned something else in your other Algebra 1 class, or if there's something online, another method that you like, then that's awesome. Please use that. You don't have to use this method. I'm just going to stick to the same method just so I stay consistent, and because it gets confusing if I teach a whole bunch of methods. But I encourage you to find other methods if you don't like this one. Okay, so on page, so now what I want you guys to do is I want you to go to your Unit 5 packet, and I want you to take these notes on page 6. So get that out, press pause in the video. It's going to take time. So I'm on page 6 of the unit packet, and it's just a blank sheet of paper. It just says factoring trinomials, box, and x method. This is where I want you to take these notes, and I want you to kind of a third of the way down on the page, just kind of draw a mark so we can distinguish the first example. We're going to do the x method, and then below we'll do the box method. So let's look at our first one, p squared plus 3p minus 54. Now this is just me being anal, but I'm just going to change it to x, p to x for this problem. So we're going to be factor x squared plus 3x minus 54. That was our example number 33. Okay. So let's go over the x method. Now, the first thing that we need for the x method is an x, a big X. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take whatever number, the c value, the number in the end, that's going to go on top. So negative 54. And then our b value, whatever's in front of the x, that's going to go below 3. And how it works, we're going to think of a number. So we're going to think of two numbers, and I'll write this out. So think of two numbers, and then that multiply to negative 54 and add to 3. So the first thing that I start out with to figure out what this number is I think, okay, what two numbers will multiply to negative 54? So I think, let's see, the first one that comes to mind for me is 9 times 6. So if there were other ones, I could try that. But I'm thinking 9 times 6. If I'm thinking of how they add, I know the difference of 9 times 6 is 3. So I'm thinking that that's probably my answer. So if I'm thinking 9 and 6, 9 times 6 is equal to, well, I want negative 54, right? So it could be either negative 9 or negative 6. But I want these two numbers to add to 3. So 9 plus 6 is equal to 3, but one of them has to be negative. Well, that means if I have the negative be on the 9, that means the bigger number is negative, and I would have a negative 3. So my negative has to be on the 6. So this is going to be a negative 6, and that means here my negative has to be on the 6. So these are being multiplied. So 9 times negative 6 gives me negative 54, and 9 minus 6 gives me 3. So that means my two numbers are 9 and -6. Once you guys have these two numbers, that's the hardest part. You're done with the factoring. So your two factors are 9 and -6. So this is how you write it. You're just going to say x plus 9, x minus 6, boom, you're done. I would suggest distributing and checking your work. If you were to distribute, you get the same answer that you started with. So let's add that to on page 21. I'm going to say, yes, I did the work on the other page, and I'm going to have x plus 9 times x minus 6, and that's my answer. I want to see your guys' x's, so make sure to show your work. Let's just do one more. Okay, so you have the notes on page 6. Let's do one more using the x method. Let's do number 40. So I'm going to set up my x. So setting up my x. My -40 is going to go on the top. That's what I multiply to. I don't know why I just did that so shaky. And then my -3 is going to go on the bottom. So I want two numbers that multiply to -40 and add to -3. So I'm thinking of the numbers that multiply to 40, and I think 4 and 10. 4 and 10. The difference of 4 and 10, though, is 6. That wouldn't give me -3. So let me think of something else that would multiply to -40. Let's see. What about 8 and 5? 8 and 5, the difference is 3, so that might work. Okay, so let's see. If I do 8 times a -5, that would give me -40, so that would work. But if I do 8 plus a -5, that would give me, a +3. But I want a -3. So that means the negative will have to be on -8. So that won't work. It must be -8 times a +5. That still gives me -40. And a -8 plus 5, that gives me my -3. So that one works. So I have -8 and 5. So my answer is the quantity x minus 8 times x plus 5, and I'm done. So give those a shot for the other one.